So Benedict Cumberbatch lets what he calls a spoiler slip in this interview with Variety, where he says that he is not going to be returning for Avengers Doomsday. And it's not by his choice. He says that the plans simply changed. I think a lot of people, if not everybody, expected Doctor Strange to show up in Avengers Doomsday. But according to him, no. But he is not done playing Doctor Strange in the MCU. And he does give us an update on his role in Avengers Secret Wars. So we're going to dive into this interview that Variety posted and talk about what this means. Everything Benedict Cumberbatch said about returning as Doctor Strange and not returning in Avengers Doomsday, and talk about what it means for the future, including Doctor Strange 3. If Doctor Strange really isn't going to be in Avengers Doomsday, well, what the heck is he doing? But we'll dive into that. Now, in this article, which is a direct interview with Benedict Cumberbatch himself, is titled Benedict Cumberbatch Tells All on Doctor Strange's Future, his new Sundance film, and not being your typical movie star. I'm not Brad, I'm not Leo. So skipping over the first couple of paragraphs that don't have anything to do with Doctor Strange or the Avengers, we get to a paragraph that states Cumberbatch is best known for playing Doctor Strange, the brilliant but arrogant Sorcerer Supreme in 6 Marvel movies. It's the role that gave the 48-year-old actor box office cred and made him globally popular, his likeness adorning t-shirts and toys. And it's a part he will continue to play as the Avengers keep battling existential threats. But Cumberbatch has just let something slip, and he seems momentarily horrified by his candor. You see, he's just told me that Doctor Strange is taking a hiatus in the next Marvel sequel, 2026's Avengers Doomsday. Is that a spoiler? He asks. F it. So right away here, he's confirming he's not going to be in Avengers Doomsday, asks if it's a spoiler, says F it, he doesn't care, he's letting the world know. And he does dive further into detail about why he's not appearing. The article continues and says, undeterred, he shares that things changed when Jonathan Majors, whose character Kang was intended to serve as the main antagonist of the next phase of the comic book film franchise, was fired in 2024 after being convicted of assaulting his ex-girlfriend. Cumberbatch's absence from Doomsday has to do with, and this is a quote directly from Benedict Cumberbatch, the character not aligning with this part of the story. End of quote. And though he probably shouldn't be saying this, he also reveals that Doctor Strange is in a lot, his words, of Avengers Secret Wars, which will hit theaters in 2027. He's quite central to where things might go, Cumberbatch teases, and he hints that the character, last seen casting spells in 2022's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, will appear in a third standalone film, but is hesitant to say too much beyond praising Marvel for being collaborative. So, big confirmation right here, he confirms Doctor Strange 3 is happening. Now, we knew that, but clearly, as we can see from this article, based off of the things that Benedict Cumberbatch has said, a lot has changed at Marvel, especially with the story that they're telling. And we just found out a few days ago that the Russo brothers decided to completely rewrite both scripts for Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Originally, Michael Waldron, the writer for Loki Season 1 and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, was writing both of the films, and he made progress and he had stuff already written for the script, but the Russo brothers, when they came in, they decided they're starting from scratch. They're not working off of anybody else's work. They have their own ideas, which I think is good. But clearly when that happened, and with the return of Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, things changed big time over at Marvel Studios. So big that Doctor Strange is no longer involved in Avengers Doomsday. But he does confirm Doctor Strange 3, and he doesn't give us a timeline for it, so I'm assuming it's going to happen between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. And in fact, I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I theorize that the post-credit scene, or one of the post-credit scenes for Avengers Doomsday, will be what Doctor Strange is up to, which we'll dive into, but let's finish the article first. He says, they are very open to discussing where we go next. Who do you want to write and direct the next one? What part of the comic lore do you want to explore so that Strange can keep evolving? He's a very rich character to play. He's a complex, contradictory, troubled human who's got these extraordinary abilities. So there's potent stuff to mess about with. And that's pretty much it in the article for anything relating to Marvel or his role in any of the upcoming Avengers movies and him playing Doctor Strange. Now, originally, when I read this title, I thought, okay, he's probably lying. He's probably trying to throw us off. But after reading all of this, I actually do believe that he is not going to be in Avengers Doomsday. Yes, we know actors lie all of the time, so we can be surprised. Andrew Garfield is not in Spider-Man No Way Home. He's not the werewolf, but he was, and that movie also had Benedict Cumberbatch in it. And Marvel does have to approve what is said in this article, because remember, actors sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, which means they can't really talk about anything they talk about with Marvel Studios. So usually when you hear actors talking about upcoming films, Marvel has basically told them what to say. They have trained them. So although I do like the banter of the spoiler talk, he most likely knows that he can admit that because Marvel most likely gave him permission. Now, don't get me wrong, there have been times where actors have done things and said things they shouldn't have, and maybe this is one of the things. But either way, it sounds like he really isn't going to be in Avengers Doomsday, but he does confirm Doctor Strange 3. Now, it's entirely possible that this does come out before Avengers Doomsday, but to have a Doctor Strange 3 movie before Doomsday and then not have Doctor Strange in Doomsday, well, that doesn't really make too much sense, although they could make it work if they wanted to. But to have Doctor Strange 3 after Avengers Doomsday can make a lot of sense, and I think they're going to go to a comic story that leads up to Avengers Secret Wars. Time runs out. The story mostly has to do with Doctor Doom trying to save the multiverse, going around killing Molecule Man in a bunch of different universes until he eventually realizes that he can't kill an infinite amount of Molecule Men to save the multiverse. And that's where he kind of teams up with Doctor Strange. And it all happens very, very quickly. Doctor Doom arrives with Molecule Man and he tells Strange, we're gonna save something. We're gonna defeat the Beyonders. So he has a crate of Molecule Men, all of which are 100% exactly the same. There are no variants of Molecule Men. There are multiple versions of them for every universe, but they are built exactly the same. They are exactly the same person in every single universe, no differentiation at all. And they are bombs created by the Beyonders. So Doom takes a bunch of them, puts them in a crate, and throws them at the Beyonders. But he still has the one main Molecule Man next to him, and Molecule Man gives Doctor Doom the powers of the Beyonders. Not 100% of the powers, but still a lot, enough for him to be God Emperor Doom. And we find out later on in Secret Wars that Molecule Man also offered it to Doctor Strange, but he declined. He said he chose to turn away. And from there on out, Doctor Strange actually works for Doctor Doom. He's his right-hand man. Now, ultimately, Reed Richards and some other characters will confront Doctor Strange about it, asking why he did nothing, and Doctor Strange basically replies with, Doom is very good at playing God. But ultimately, Doctor Strange does go against Doom, and Doom ends up killing him. So I don't think they're going to do the last part of that. I don't think Strange is going to end up working for Doom, although that is entirely possible. I think they're going to kind of swap Doctor Strange's role with Doctor Doom's role from the comics in the MCU. I think Doctor Strange is the one that's going to be going around with Clea, trying to stop incursions from happening, trying to clean up the mess that he caused, but also the mess that possibly Doctor Doom is causing. And that could explain his absence. And they did set that up very well in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness's post-credit scene. Clea showed up, she says, hey, you caused an incursion, you're coming with me to fix it, and he's just like, yeah, sure, let's go. I'll come with you, pretty lady. And he does go with her. And they do end up getting married in the comics, so that's probably where they're heading here, a romantic relationship between the two of them. But according to Alex Perez from the Cosmic Circus, Doctor Strange is also going to be kind of put on trial. A multiversal group is basically going to say Doctor Strange is the cause of a lot of incursions throughout the multiverse. And Doctor Strange 3, at least originally, was supposed to be about Doctor Strange kind of going against what his destiny is supposed to be, or what his fate is, which is him causing destruction throughout the entire multiverse. So dealing with all of that, him himself causing a lot of incursions and him being responsible for some of the destruction of the multiverse, which could have set off a domino effect to ultimately cause the destruction of the entire thing, that's a pretty good excuse for not showing up in Avengers Doomsday, especially because Doom hasn't really been established as a huge villain yet. That's exactly what Doomsday is going to do. So after those events, after the Avengers lose to him, that's when Doctor Strange is going to show up. And according to Benedict Cumberbatch himself, he is in a lot of Avengers Secret Wars, and that is because he's going to have a pretty vast knowledge of the multiverse by the time we get to Avengers Secret Wars. And we've heard from a few different insiders appears that the big battle that they are planning, or I should say that they had planned before, was between Doom and Doctor Strange, two of the most powerful sorcerers of all time. And keep in mind, both of them in the comics have been the Sorcerer Supreme. So the two of them really are as strong and as talented as it gets when it comes to sorcery. So I think I mostly believe Benedict Cumberbatch when he says he's not in Avengers Doomsday. It really does seem like he's telling the truth. Also, why lie about not being in a movie? So I think I mostly believe him, but this certainly does change things of how we think about what's going to happen in Avengers Doomsday. It certainly puts the Avengers at a disadvantage, especially if the Scarlet Witch is not going to return as well, which we don't know yet, but those are the most powerful characters that they have going up against Doom because Doom can use sorcery. So go ahead, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. Are you shocked by this? Does this matter to you? Leave all your thoughts and feelings in the comments. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU news, rumors, or leaks. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.